Hey there, I'm Gazbot, and this is the Horror Production Report update, number, whatever this number is, the restart, the Season 2, with the continuing along after a brief absence. What is the horror? The horror is my independent kaiju comic, the Horror A4, that is. This is issue 1. This came out much longer ago than I would like it to have. I did chronicle the creation of it, doing 100 days of making comics, which is 100 days in a row of making my comic, etc. Then months after that, I did a Kickstarter. People were generous enough and supportive enough that they paid for this, as well as stickers and buttons and other kinds of awesome things. And I've been working on issue 2. Now, for a while, I was sort of doing a vlog, let me put this down, a vlog mixed with my Horror Production Report updates, but I realized what was happening is my Horror Production Report update would be all about me going to Disneyland or the new toy I bought, and not about the art of the book and not about the book specifically. So then I just made it a blog, and then I've sort of separated my channel. But if you've never seen this before, or if you haven't seen it in a while and this is the only thing you watch, welcome back, welcome aboard. We're talking about Kaiju Comics. We're talking about independent comics. We're talking about my comics specifically. And I have been working on issue 2 with a renewed vigor. If you look at issue 1 at the bottom here, it says number 1, or it says first issue of a 5-issue limited series. Actually, it doesn't even say that. I am smart. It says first issue of an original limited series, but it is 5 issues. I guess at the last minute I had cold feet and was like, well, what if I get it done in 4, or what if I need 6? But it is intended to be 5. Now, as far as the progress report, you can see I have my Kablam ad on the back. This is the second printing. The first printing had original art for everybody that bought that. Now, I'm talking a lot, but I'm not saying a lot. Issue 1 came out. I've sold it at shows. I've sold it in Kickstarter. I've sold it through my Etsy store, etc. There's links below if you haven't got it and you're interested in buying it. Issue 2, I've been working on in between taking client work, in between life stuff for a while. Like, I think it's been close to a year now, which is embarrassing. But I recently moved about a month ago, 2 months ago now, and I'm kind of getting settled into my new house. On top of that, I've cut way back on my client work. On top of that, I am just hitting the horror with renewed vigor, specifically starting October 1st. Now today I think is the 6th, if I'm not mistaken, or the 5th. And what I'm doing is I've talked to Q, my wife, and we have agreed. She's said, take less work. Yes, because she works, and she's like, I'll pick up the slack, and she's super supportive and great in every way that a partner and a spouse could possibly be. In everything, but especially about my art and my comics when, you know, they're not necessarily making a lot of money. I do other artwork to make money, and she's like, take less of that other artwork, work on your comics. She's been telling me this for a while, but I'm actually going to really try to take it to heart. And so I actually put up a thing saying I'm not going to be taking commissioned artwork as of the 22nd of last month. Got a few outstanding things I have to finish up, but for the most part, I'm done. That doesn't mean I won't take any client work, because if it's a past client, I kind of am indebted to them and I have to. And I have one of those coming up, which is a company that I've done caricatures for their new employees for like 6 years. So I can't be like, I'm not going to do this one, you know. So there's certain things like that. I'm also still going to do live gigs. I'm going to do conventions. I'll do sketches at conventions. I'm going to do, if I get hired to work a party and do caricatures, I'll do that. Or if it's some crazy amount of money that I can't turn down, or some awesome opportunity I can't turn down. But my regular everyday work, my freelance client work, I'm trying to stop as much as possible. And the deadlines I've set up with my wife is to try to get the entire series done within a year. Which is not that crazy, and if I was a faster artist or had less things going on, it would be super easy, because a lot of artists will do a comic a month. But I'm penciling and inking and doing the grayscale, plus all the publishing stuff. I'm not doing the lettering myself, but I'm coordinating with the letterer, and sometimes I need to make revisions and stuff afterwards. So I'm doing like several jobs at once. So what I'm trying to say is, I am slow, I am lazy, I am a procrastinator, I'm all those terrible things that many artists are. But on top of that, I'm doing many, many jobs, so it's not that crazy that it would take me, you know, more than a month to do a comic. Now, as far as the progress reports part of it, where are we at? Well, some of you might know this, some of you might not, so I'm just going to say issue 2, 3, 4, and 5, which is the entire series, has been written. Now, when I say written, I don't mean I have ideas or have an outline. I mean, because I've started so many projects and failed them and not finished them and got sidetracked, as many of us do, especially when you're trying to work in your own comic, I wanted to make sure it was done. So I came up with the premise, I came up with the ending, and I wrote the whole thing. And I really wrote it. It's a script that I could hand to another artist to do. I wrote it as though I was a writer, not an artist. Doesn't mean it's great writing, I mean, I hope it is, but what I mean is the format. It has the scripting, it has the breakdowns of pages, etc. The only thing I didn't do, and this depending on the writer, some people do, some people don't, is I have it per page, but I don't have the actions broken down per panel on each page, because I knew I'd be doing it. But also from my understanding is, again, different writers work differently, and some actually work that way. So I have that done. Now I might make little revisions as I go, but it is, you know, done. Issue 2. Issue 2 is 100% penciled. I'm going to put the little quotes up because it's digital pencil. I do work traditionally sometimes, but when I'm working on comic stuff, it's almost always digital. I work on my Cintiq and Photoshop for 99% of that stuff. And so I took the script, broke it down page by page, panel by panel, penciled the whole thing. I have a different letterer than the first issue. This time it's Dave Major, who is a accomplished artist who's put out his own books such as Eep, but now he's also a art teacher. Long story short, we traded some favors. I taught some of his classes. He is doing lettering for me, which is cool. So the lettering is 90% done. He's done every page, but there's a few little revisions I need to ask him to do, but nothing major. So the lettering is essentially done. The penciling is completely done, not including the cover. The interior page is 28 pages. That's another thing. It's longer than an average comic, which is usually 22 pages, 24 pages. It's 28 pages. It was 26 as scripted. When I laid it out, I got 2 extra pages. As much as it stinks to make it fatter and give it more work and take longer, I'd rather do that than try to squish it into the 26 pages. So, of those 28 pages, they're all penciled, they're essentially lettered. I skipped page 1 because I had to get something finished, and I have inked page 2 through, as of today, 17. I've inked and grayscale. I don't do color in my book except for on the cover. There's the cover. Inside, it's grayscale. See? So there's 2 reasons for that. One is I like the aesthetic, and I always talk about the old school Ninja Turtles being an influence on me. Not that this is much like those stories or even like the drawing style exactly, but this sort of black and white underground, I'm just going to do it sort of attitude. I liked those books and I like that aesthetic. So I'm a fan of gray, so there's that. But also, practically speaking, gray is cheaper. I'm self-printing, I'm going through Kickstarter, either way you want to look at it. I don't have a publisher, so the money either comes from me or from people who support me, and this is expensive. Even just to make a black and white one is expensive, and I don't make a lot of money selling them. If it was color, I couldn't even imagine how I would do it. I'd have to sell it for way higher or ask for way more money, or, you know, so being that my aesthetic tends towards, leans towards, dives towards black and white anyway, there you go. It's an easy decision. And then, like I said, I have color on the front, and the early editions did have color on the back. I mean, this has color on the back, but they had artwork color that I had done as opposed to an advertisement. So 28 pages need to be inked and grayed. I have 12 left. I'm on page 17, but as I said, I skipped page 1, so that means I have 16 done, which 16 plus 12, hey, 28, it's math with Gazbot. So 12 pages need to be inked and grayed, and then once I get that done, I'll have to do the cover and like various, you know, making sure things are lined up correctly for printing, blah, 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 and then I'm gonna launch a Kickstarter for issue 2. That should be by the end of this year. I have an exact date somewhere, I don't have it on me, I'm reluctant to say it, but like I said, I do have an actual timeline, which I'm beholden to for myself and also to my wife, because we have this agreement, and, you know, it wouldn't be fair to her that she's like, yeah, take a little bit of extra time for yourself to get this done, and then I don't do it. Case in point. So this is the first week I've been on the schedule, and the idea is the schedule, I have to get 2 pages a week done at least. Now, again, that doesn't sound like a lot, 5 days a week. Right now, it's not a lot, because I have it penciled, so I'm just inking and grayed. And I did do it this week. I just finished today. Today's Saturday. My inclination is to have it done by Friday and treat it as a work week. This week was weird though, because I had a friend in from out of town for a day and a half, so I didn't really have a chance to work that much because I wanted to see him. I also took one night and went to go see the Blade Runner in theaters, the old version, remastered, whatever, and just various things like that came up, none of which is dire. But there's always going to be things like that, like the sprinkler out back broke, we have a new house, I had to deal with that. There's always, even if I'm taking less paying work, there's a lot of housework that falls on me mainly, because she's got a regular 9-to-5 job. And I'm fine with that, and it's a fair arrangement, but it does take up some of my time, so that even if I have no client work, I don't have all day, every day to work on my comic. There's other things that require my attention, and like I said, sometimes people come in from out of town, which is a nice thing, but it's still distracting. So, 2 pages a week. I got done today, and I will say, when I was working on, every day I worked on it, I felt better. Because if I worked on it for a few hours in the morning, even if I didn't put in 8 hours, I got a few hours in, did half a page, 2-3 panels, then I went out and did some yard work, then I went to Target to buy some food, then Q came home, we watched some TV. Maybe I put some more work in, maybe I don't, but I know I had a half page done, so I kind of felt good about that, and that's how it was every day this week, with the exception of the one day when my friend was in from out of town. I didn't work on it at all, which is probably why I had to work on it today, Saturday. And I finished it, and I feel great. I feel a great sense of accomplishment that after having not worked on it in a few months because of the move and various other things, and partially I didn't work on it because I knew I was gonna be hitting heavy, so I wanted to get everything else off my plate, all my client work, everything else. So I got my 2 pages done. Didn't work on it for months, and all of a sudden, 2 more pages done. Great. So the rest of the weekend, I'm going to try to get some of my backlog of client work and a few other things off the table so that come Monday, I can start the cycle anew and do 2 pages, etc. So you can see how if I have 12 pages left, that's 6 weeks. 6 weeks to get all those done. So that's a month and a half. So it's the beginning of October, so that means roughly the middle of November I should be done with the book. That's the interiors. Still have to do the cover and everything else, which is why I said it's likely I would launch the Kickstarter the end of the year. Now, that being with Christmas and other holidays towards the end of the year, I might push it till January, unless I get done sooner, but you can see the timeline I'm kind of discussing. I've been talking a lot. I'm going to throw up one of the pages I did today. I'm not going to put the words in it. I'll put up either page 16 or 17, whichever it is, right here so you can see one of the things I did this week. Fool! So there you have it. Now, this all sounds great. This all sounds doable. Where the real challenge is going to come in is when I start working on issue 3, because I have the script and that's it. So will I be able to do 2 pages a week, taking the script, breaking it down, pencil, ink, gray? Theoretically, yes. Hopefully, yes. In practice, I don't know. And one of the things is the way I've been working has been very procedural, very assembly line, where I say, okay, I'm the writer. Okay, now I'm the penciler. Okay, now I'm the inker. And if I do it that way, I absolutely can't get 2 pages done a week. So I might have to rework this system so that the same amount of time, if I break down the math, which I'm not going to do right now, but let's say I say, oh, this should take 2 months if I do 2 pages a week, or whatever it is. Then I'll say, okay, well, I'll play with that 2 months, but break it down differently, where like the first week I have to break down the first 10 pages, and the second week I have to break down, you know, and then once all those break down, now we're in week 4, and I have to pencil 4 pages, like, so that I would still get to the same place I would get to doing 2 pages a day, because it's all about the time limit. It's all about the deadline more than it is about what I'm doing that particular day. So I'll have to revisit this system when I get to issue 3, but for right now, I'm in a good place, moving pretty quickly. A lot of people have asked what's going on with the horror, or what's going on with why am I taking to work, whatever. It's all good. Everything's good. Life's been a little hectic, starting to calm down a little bit now, partially on purpose, like I said, and I'm going to take that calm and try to push forward, and do the horror. I am doing little warm-up sketches every day too, which helps. 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and what I've been doing is I'm kind of a bad artist. I mean, everybody has their hang-ups and things they're good at and they're bad at. I have a really hard time motivating myself. I have a hard time getting going, and I'm very much I enjoy having drawn, I enjoy having written more than the process. I don't like the process. I'm excited in the beginning, and I'm proud at the end, and everything in the middle is work. So, but one thing I'll see a movie, or I'll read a comic, or I'll get an idea for, oh, it would be cool to do this, and then I'll do it eventually, and then I don't do it. Or I start doing it, but I don't have like 20 hours to make it into a finished final art piece, so I've been trying to get less precious about that. I don't really keep a sketchbook. I know most artists do. I haven't done that in years. I usually doodle on a little piece of paper, but what I've been trying to do is do little warm-up sketches before I start working, and limiting my time and not worrying about getting it perfect, but I've also been indulging myself in whatever interests me. I saw Castle Cagliostro Lupin in the theater, and so I did a little Lupin head sketch. I saw, you know, that was a Miyazaki film. Another Miyazaki film was Nausicaa, Valley of the Wind, and I did that. And I saw Blade Runner, so I did a quick Blade Runner sketch. And some of these, I don't even think they came out that great, but I'm trying different things. Today, I was watching a Foo Fighters documentary, so I drew a picture of Dave Grohl's hand. You know, and these are all warm-up sketches that are hopefully keeping me loose. I'm trying to draw in different styles and things that I wouldn't normally draw if I was just doodling, by giving myself an assignment as opposed to just whatever comes out of my head. But because it's warm-up, there's less pressure. And it's also a way to be doing something other than just focusing on my comic, because I and many other artists, some of whom I know personally, have a huge problem doing too many things at once. Again, I'm guilty of this too. Oh, I'm gonna work on my YouTube videos, but I'm also gonna be in a band, but I'm also gonna work on my comic and then do prints for the show, and I got an idea for a fun podcast. It's like, it's too much. Nothing gets done, or it all gets done poorly, or deadlines are blown, and I'm not pointing fingers, except at myself, although I know I'm not the only one guilty of this. So, my hope is that by doing these warm-up sketches, that'll help quell some of that desire to start something new, because I have ideas for new comics and projects that I would love to get working on, because I've been working on the horror forever now, even though it still hasn't come out. And that's the thing. I want it to come out. I want to be proud of it. I want everyone to read the whole story, and then I want to move on and do other things. I might come back to the horror, do another story. I might not, but you know, my point is that the sketches are a bit of a pressure valve. So hopefully I'll be able to keep that up. I'm not going to commit to doing these updates once a week or whatever. I just stopped doing the vlog. Videos will keep coming out, but I wanted to get this one out just to let everyone know I'm working on the comic harder than ever. It will be coming out. Expect another update. If worst case scenario, the next update you get is, hey, it's done, here's the Kickstarter. Likely I'll do one before that, but you know. As I leave here, I'm going to throw up some of the warm-up sketches that I was talking about, and feel free to check me out on other social media. I'm on Instagram all the time and various other places. You could like and subscribe. You could not. Whatever you want to do, and I hope you're having good luck with your comics or whatever your project is, and if you're not, well, just force yourself to do it more and cut out other things in your life. Or decide it's not making you happy and quit. Either way, pick a lane and push towards it. All right, that's me, Gazbot. Have a good one. Geets. Geets. Yoo! Okay. Why?